In this country, our principles are that everyone should have access to justice.
The reality is that for most poor people, they don't have access to justice.
When the doors to justice are closed, our role is to break them open.
Legal aid really is providing a service not just for the people that they represent, but for the entire city.
They're lifting people up out of the gutter.
If it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be.
Laughless Help has really changed my life.
Absolutely love what I do at Legal Aid Foundation. Angelica has 3 small kids.
Pasamos 15 años de relación.
I lived with my partner for over 15 years, but within months, he changed so much.
Angelica had been battered by her spouse.
There had been at least 2 incidents of violence where she had been almost killed.
This all happening in the household with the children.
He became so furious and so mad, then he started to choke me.
Pinned her on the couch in front of her 3 small children and tried to strangle her to death.
I lost consciousness. I went limp for a couple of seconds.
She had nowhere to turn. She is a Spanish speaker, alone.
He told me that if I went to the police, immigration will take me and my children away.
She didn't know what her rights were. She didn't even know who to turn to.
Some of her big concerns, obviously her safety, the safety of the children, but also what was going to happen in the future. How are they going to be able to pay their rent? How are they going to get food?
I lived here for most of my life.
In Ujima Village, it was 365 units, 17 acres of land.
Created back in the 70s as sort of a utopian vision of what low-income housing could become.
Ujima Village was a close-knit family. We had a garden. Magic Johnson donated the computers there. It was just so wonderful.
There were some tenants who received subsidies in the form of Section 8 vouchers.
You know, that's where I lived. I lived there for 25 years. The Housing Authority decided they were going to close Ujima Village down.
They had to move out because it was contaminated.
Everyone, in essence, was being told they had to move. Section 8 voucher holders were being treated differently than others.
Because they felt that since I was on a government program, that I should stay on a government program.
While other tenants were being told, you can get cash assistance, you can apply for assistance with a down payment on a new home.
She was paying her rent, always, and she was still not getting the help she needed to relocate.
And so she put her foot down and took a stand.
Every unit in here was boarded up but my unit.
They were the last remaining family out of 300 units in this complex.
I felt lonely that time.
The place was falling down.
It was trash everywhere.
Weeds overtook playgrounds.
People be coming over here, punching walls, putting graffiti on the wall.
There were pipes broken throughout the complex.
And now they put this gate over here so nobody won't come in here.
They put a chain and lock around my mailbox so I couldn't get my mail.
I don't want to live in this scary place. It feels like a ghost town.
Without access to justice, these families would probably end up homeless.
They don't have anybody to make their case.
They know something's wrong, but legally they need someone by their side.
I didn't have any money for an attorney.
And as a result, they're taken advantage of.
I think what you start to see is an unraveling of everyone's rights.
Greater unemployment, greater poverty, greater homelessness.
It creates instability in a society.
You can have all the rights in a Constitution or a Bill of Rights, but if someone can't access the courts to vindicate those rights, all they are rights on paper.
Legal Aid Foundation Los Angeles is the frontline law firm for the poor.
We deal with, many times, life and death.
It's whether they're going to have a home to sleep in, put food on the table for themselves and their children.
You certainly feel the pressure in your cases.
You really do feel like you're sort of the last line of defense for folks.
When they see a client coming in with a particular issue, that often that's not the only issue the person has in terms of putting themselves back on their feet.
Angelica is typical of a client that comes in, and we have to help in all of the areas she needs help.
One of the wonderful things about LAFLA is that there's support in all of those substantive areas.
I was nervous at first because all of these things were new and I didn't know.
I immediately spoke to her, I immediately sort of clarified what her legal rights were.
Angela made me feel like I wasn't alone and she gave me that courage.
In the end, we were able to get Angelica a permanent restraining order from the abuser.
We were able to obtain child support orders, custody orders, and we're working with her to help her adjust her immigration status so she'll have more options as far as providing for her family. Right after court, and she went out and she bought me a Snapple and she brought it back to the office for me just to say thank you. It was a small gesture, but it meant so much to me. I really appreciated that.
Everything came out to my favor because we won.
There's only one person who stood by my side, and that's Fernando from Legal Aid.
My gut reaction was that something was really unfair. It requires some digging, and that's exactly what we did.
We fought for 2.5 years.
And the challenge was convincing the Housing Authority the laws did not support their position.
Under the California Act, everybody that lived in here was supposed to have a choice. I'm the only one that got the choice.
And we were able to successfully obtain relocation benefits for Natalie and Smith.
I think I brought Legal Aid Foundation lunch that day. I was so happy.
While Natalie and Smith's case is certainly a victory, the work continues.
People are hurting in Los Angeles.
And during tough economic times, that need is even greater.
There are too many people out there that need help, and LAFLA isn't big enough to do it by itself.
We see the numbers rising every day.
All of us, as professionals, as lawyers, have a responsibility for pro bono activity.
Without them, we couldn't do half of the work that we do.
One definitely feels the great responsibility that one has towards the pro bono clients that we handle through LAFLA, but also the great reward when we're able to solve their problems for them.
1, 2, 3, 4.
They stood by me, and I didn't have to give them anything. It's just unbelievable.
And it felt really good to get the result that she wanted in the end.
And now she's on her way to home ownership.
It would be a whole nother life for me. A homeowner that I can afford, my house, something with my name on it.
And now we moved out and we won.
In the backyard, I can plant a garden. I can step outside and get a tomato.
I'm happy.
He sings going to bed and he sings waking up, and it's getting louder and louder.
The most important thing for me was a support order. Now I feel calm and I don't have to be afraid.
She is now moving to self-sufficiency.
Now I'm studying and going to school.
The children don't have to fear anymore of being homeless, of watching their mommy get beat up.
Fabiola wants to be an architect because my sister's an architect in El Salvador. Aldo, he's between an astronaut and a doctor. And Emily, well, she's really little and she doesn't really know.
Working with LAFLA has been one of the best of my professional experiences.
I feel privileged to get to do this work.
We've been able to make a real difference in people's lives.
That's why I come back every day.
I feel free and I feel calm. I feel this is a new beginning.
Grateful to LAFLA for all the work that they do.
You know, I just cannot thank Legal Aid Foundation enough.
When you see that smile in whether it's a child, a senior, a vet, and you see that they now see a new day, can't get better than that. What more could you ask for?